We are officially witnessing the closing chapter of a wild political era, like we've been talking about for a while now. The notorious Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard has finally been stripped of her power in the village of Dalton. On top of that, she's been booted out of Thornton Township, and honestly, it's only a matter of time before she's out of every single elected position she holds. But let's get into the latest twist in this never-ending Tiffany Henyard saga. You remember how we reported before that she was cashing in somewhere between $250,000 and just under $300,000 between both her roles? Well, guess what? A brand new final audit just dropped, and according to the local news, the real number? It's way higher than $300,000. Now, here's where it gets absolutely wild. That lavish, luxury travel lifestyle she's been flaunting? Yeah, that wasn't just some side benefit. It turns out it was all being funded by another program that straight up paid her $600 a day, and that's every single time she stepped out of Dalton or crossed the Illinois state line. Basically, she was out here flying first class, taking fancy little vacations all on the taxpayers' dime. It's straight up outrageous from start to finish, but you know what might be even crazier? Even after all this, there are still people in her corner. Yep, diehard supporters right here in the community. And some of them, they're saying stuff that honestly is just downright ridiculous. Like this, you know what? I've really got to give it up for the people of Dalton. Yeah, they might have slipped up when they first voted Tiffany Henyard into office, but they caught on quick. And almost immediately, they kicked off a full-blown recall campaign to get her out of there. Now, granted, that recall effort ended up getting tossed out by a judge who decided to shut the whole thing down. But even after that setback, the people of Dalton didn't back down. They stayed on it, they kept applying pressure, and in the end, they absolutely wiped the floor with Tiffany Henyard by electing trustee Jason House as the brand new mayor of Dalton. The vote count? Man, it was something crazy like 88 to 2, a straight-up landslide. But even with all that, there's still a few clowns running around Dalton real-life jokers. And if you honestly believe this whole movement to hold the super mayor accountable is just because she's a woman supposedly doing what men have always done, then you are flat out not paying attention to what's happening right in front of you. Anyway, before we jump into this final chapter, this last hurrah for the so-called super mayor, let's get into it, all right? So the local news finally broke it all down, laid out every single detail that led to the super mayor's full-blown collapse. They basically walk through exactly why her time at the top is officially over. And honestly, if I tried to break down every twist and turn right here, this video would easily stretch into a 3-hour deep dive. And let's be real, nobody's got time for that. So, like I always do with these kinds of stories, I've dropped my full Super Mayor playlist, start to finish, right up here on the card and down below in the description. That way you can binge all 30 episodes. I've dropped about this woman and her nonstop chaos in both the village of Dalton and Thornton Township. But today, we're dialed in on the fresh updates, the latest chapter. And no, this isn't just some allegation the super mayor can sweep under the rug by yelling fake news or tossing out some false accusation nonsense. No, these are straight facts. Turns out, she was pocketing a way bigger paycheck than anybody thought because she went out of her way to squeeze every single perk she could possibly get her hands on. Here's something you really need to hear. Every single box of food handed out at those community giveaways had Tiffany Henyard's name slapped right on it. Every single one. And let's be real, those giveaways? Total PR stunts. She honestly believed passing out some food would earn her the community's trust. You know her line, "Everything we do is for the people"? She repeats it like a broken record. Same with her constant digs at the trustees, always saying, "The mayor's the one doing the work. The trustees just sit around talking and doing nothing." She brags about her and her team grinding until midnight, claiming everybody else is out partying. According to her, the trustees haven't passed a single meaningful ordinance. Every law, she says, was written just to benefit the trustees and their lawyers, never the residents. But if you step back, it's obvious this is straight from the authoritarian leftist playbook. Take taxpayer money, bleed productivity out of everyone else, live the high life on public funds, then toss out a few scraps like food boxes to make it look like you're serving the people. And people line up for it, thinking it's free when they've already paid for it through their taxes. Meanwhile, her face is everywhere, billboards, banners playing the part of the community savior. Folks didn't fall for it. That's why she got booted out of both positions. And even after getting voted out, she's still doing what she always did, draining taxpayers, tossing out crumbs and throwing parties like nothing happened. And I can't even blame the people who lined up for those handouts. I didn't vote. For her, wouldn't have if you paid me, but if she's giving out food, I'm taking it. People know she's taken way more from them than she ever gave back. Even the local news tried giving her credit, acting like some of her programs were worthwhile. Please, those good programs? They were nothing more than PR, her name splashed on everything just to boost her image, and now we've got the cold, hard numbers. Official records show Henyard pulled in over $347,000 last year between Dalton and Thornton Township. That's more than the mayor of Chicago. $282,000 came from Thornton Township alone, and that's before we even get into her $4,900 monthly expense allowance and $1,100 vehicle stipend. Dalton taxpayers also paid six figures for two SUVs, supposedly for the police department, that ended up being Henyard's personal rides. Her base salary alone? Around $225,000 from Thornton and $50,000 from Dalton. That's more than the governor of Illinois. But that wasn't enough. She racked up another $75,000 in perks. She kept that $4,900 a month in expenses while still billing both Dalton and Thornton for other charges. And the $1,100 vehicle stipend? That came from Thornton, yet she still stuck Dalton with a lease on a Chevy Tahoe with terms so that it looked like a teenager with no credit signed it. The SUV's price was $93,216.71, but after interest and fees, the total lease hit $149,146.20. Over $50,000 just thrown away because she didn't even bother negotiating. Instead of using her vehicle stipend, she pocketed it and made taxpayers pick up the bill, everything people warned about her. Spot on. She can throw flashy parties all she wants. At the end of the day, she bled this community dry. Not just with her bloated salary, but with the extra $6,000 a month in so-called expenses she stashed away. And after she lost the election, she straight up stopped showing up to board meetings. And when people asked her why, she dodged. The question, still bitter about losing. She's still in office, still cashing checks, but totally ghosting the job. Instead of working, she's out dancing, throwing taxpayer-funded parties, and ducking every ounce of accountability. Then you've got longtime township employee Stephanie Weedman, who worked there for 20 years, blowing the whistle on all of it. And if Henyard had just admitted she messed up, maybe this wouldn't have exploded the way it did. But nope, she made it a circus every other week. Another episode of Super Mayor, the soap opera. And of course there's that crowd screaming, "Why are y'all attacking a black woman in power? Like corruption should get a pass because of race." They'll say, "You should be ashamed, you're costing the village money." Seriously? Even local news stations aired clips of people shouting that mess, and yeah, those clips? They ripped them straight from my videos. Ridiculous, but none of this should shock anyone. The truth was always in plain sight. Henyard didn't care about the people of Dalton or Thornton. She cared about Henyard. That's why nobody should. Be surprised she made more than the Chicago mayor and the Illinois governor, and now she's just phoning it in until her term ends. And if you think she's bowing out quietly, please, the last time she showed up at a Thornton Township board meeting, it ended in a brawl. Yeah, she threw hands. That's the super mayor way. Not even shocking anymore? An investigates dug in and found she and her crew spent over $100,000 of taxpayer money on luxury travel, Four Seasons hotels, fancy steakhouses, all in late 2023. She wasn't just living it up, she was doing it on your dime. And when asked about it, she actually said, "I don't handle anything with credit cards." Then, when hit with specific charges, she pulled the classic, "Some of those were for you, though. They didn't pay for that." A total circus. Look, I get it. WGN misses the super mayor. They're treating her downfall like it's the season finale cliffhanger. But lifting my clips? That's just sad. You're a news outlet, not a bootleg version of my channel. And let's be real, that clip is gold. Henyard making faces, dodging questions, acting like a literal child, even with proof stacked against her. This is why she never owned up. She didn't think she had to. And that's exactly why she went down the way she did. Meanwhile, regular people, they're stuck cleaning up the mess she left behind. And here's the cherry on top. Township supervisors like Henyard got insane perks. $600 a day for out-of-state travel, $400 a day for in-state plus full expense reimbursements. That probably bumped her real income way past $347,000. It's basically a system that pays you just to leave town. And the dirty part? She allegedly billed the township's credit card for trip expenses and still kept the daily stipend. So she wasn't using that stipend on travel. She just pocketed it when we asked her replacement about all that money. He said, "What you make depends on what you deliver." He even compared it to being a pro athlete or a doctor. So yeah, don't expect any big changes there. I've given the Dalton trustees their credit for standing up to Henyard and promising to clean up the mess. But don't get that twisted with the new Thornton Township supervisor. He slid into office off Henyard's scandal, and already he's giving off that same game, less noise vibe. So if you live in Thornton Township, don't hold your breath for miracles. This ain't Dalton, where they're at least trying to fix the damage after everything, the reckless spending, the shady cancer charity, the FBI sniffing around, the board meeting brawl. It's wild Henyard still has fans. Yep, people still out here writing for the super mayor. You'll even hear folks say, "She's just doing what men have always done." But come on, show me one man who pulled this many scandals in a single term and still had a job. Just one. At the end of the day, political terms are short. But legends, they live forever. And the super mayor? Oh yeah, she made sure of that, but hey, those are just my thoughts. I want to hear yours. Drop a comment below, hit that like button, subscribe for more, follow me on social, and if you want to support the channel, check the links in the description. This has been me breaking down how the super mayor was robbing this community way harder than anyone thought.